All right, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all latest in television and entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick, and a third one is
Kyle Bridger. So I am just, we're going to be talking about, what is it? Impeachment, American Crime Story. So this one's just going to be bad for everyone.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to say that I am the Linda Tripp to John's Monica Lewinsky to Dave's Bill Clinton.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on, Kyle. Really? Okay,
I had to. That's the only one I could think of on the fly.
There is a whole other show too. There's Why the Last Man. There's Why the Last Man. You could have done anyone from that. But okay, yeah, we're talking about Impeachment, American Crime Story. Two shows, FX related. One on FX, one is on FX on Hulu. One you can watch on Hulu, one you cannot watch on Hulu. Very confusing. We'll try to break it all down. But before we get to all that, we have this first segment. And John, what is it?
In and out points.
In or the out. In or the out. In, out, in, out, in, out. In or the out.
Yes, it is. It is in and out points. Let's start off talking about the world's largest cinema chain, AMC Theaters. It's rolling out a $25 million advertising campaign to encourage people to go back to the movies. How? Well, they got Nicole Kidman to, as Variety put it, quote, wax poetic about the magic of the movies. And that, well, now I'm going to quote the actual video, that indescribable feeling we get when the lights begin to dim and we go somewhere we've never been before. Wow. The magic of movies, John. Is this $25 million well spent for you?
Did that go to her to just say things? It was a nice looking commercial, but man, $25 million?
I hope that includes all the commercial time on the networks or wherever they're promoting this.
But like all the
$4
clips,
million for Nicole Kidman and $1 million for the rest of it.
All the clips they showed, like they didn't get anything like I don't know. It just feels so weird that. I mean, why couldn't we do something like this for $1,000 for a camera and some lights? You know what I mean? And a movie theater. Like, I don't see why it would cost you millions of dollars to do this.
I was going to say, why can't you get those film students that always do those little 5-minute short films
the
Coke ads, get Coke to pay $25 million, get the kids from whatever college to shoot a dumb little video. And then, the magic of movies. And that's all you need.
We need Nicole Kidman to be like that one in the one ad where it's like, I'm going to that or whatever. Remember that one guy who said we should have had Nicole Kidman do that right at the end of every clip that she saw.
Nicole Kidman should have had the popcorn bucket, and then in the AMC one, throws it back. Whoa, what a moment. It just throws the popcorn everywhere.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that guy? But yeah.
I just have to say, this ad campaign seems I guess, I don't know, not in the real world, okay?
Yeah.
Because nothing, Nicole Kidman is not going to convince me to go back to AMC. That's not the reason I'm not going to the theater, right?
She's by herself in the theater during COVID. No one's getting that experience.
If you could tell me, AMC, that I can go maskless and sit with only Nicole Kidman at a movie, I'll probably go to the movies.
Maybe for 25 mil, Dave.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but you can't convince me that this is the experience because, this theater looks like a spaceship. It's clean, it's up to date, and it's empty. And none of those things are an AMC theater.
Yeah, it's just... I don't know what world they're living in. It just seems like wasted money to me because the reason people aren't going back to the theaters is because of COVID. And Nicole Kidman waxing poetic about the movies is not going to make them go back. That's not going to, this ad campaign is not going to get me to go back to the theaters.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not the reason, I'm not going to the theaters. Is because,
there's
I
a
haven't
pandemic
seen
going around. And
Yeah.
like for this, is Nicole Kidman alone in a theater. It's like, yeah, if I had that experience, I'd be going to the movies every other day. Like I like movies. I love the feeling of the movies. I like being in the theater, but right now it's not there yet. And it's just, I don't know.
But-
I mean, this
but
indescribable feeling.
But also we have to think about, like, they're talking about movies, but they showed all kind of past clips.
Yeah.
We're talking about movies that are being delayed. So even if you want us to get to go back to the theaters, what are we watching here? I know that some stuff has come out, but like even more stuff is getting delayed. So what are we going back for?
You're going back to see, these are the 4 films that they featured in this: Jurassic World, Wonder Woman, La La Land, and Creed. And it's just like, first of all, it's like, yeah, the worlds you've never been before. It's like, how many Jurassic World movies and parks and all that stuff that we've seen before? It's like, we've been to this world so many times. But it's just interesting that they chose these blockbusters, which I think for the most part, I'm hoping at the end of the pandemic, when movies are back in business, those movies are going to be fine. Jurassic World, Wonder Woman, they're going to be fine at the theaters. It's the smaller films that we should be worried about. Those ones that transport us, the ones that are new, the ones that are innovative, those won't be around in the theaters to be seen anymore. That's the issue.
Exactly.
Yeah, this $25 million price tag. I mean, that's more than some of these major Hollywood releases have made in the past few months at the domestic box office. I mean, Suicide Squad, which we've talked about on the podcast, had a $26 million opening weekend. That made $26 million opening weekend. And that's pretty much the cost of this ad campaign. And I mean, they got Nicole Kidman. I saw it was written by the Academy Award nominee Billy Ray, not the one you're thinking of, the one from Captain Phillips. He wrote Captain Phillips.
It's not Billy Ray Cyrus?
No, I mean, unless he wrote that, I don't know. And there was also directed by an Oscar nominated cinematographer. So they got the big guns for this 1 minute short where Nicole Kidman walks around a dark theater. I guess your money's worth.
This just seems like wasted money to me. I don't know who's going to see this and be like, oh yeah, I forgot movie theaters existed. Let me go back. I think everyone's like, I want to go back to the theaters, but we're all trying to figure out on our own timeline when we're going to be comfortable going back. I don't think this alone is going to convince people that were on the fence that they should go back to the theater.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that the whole idea of marketing and advertising, is to get people to go back? I don't think this is going to do anything.
Show us some clips from upcoming movies that we need to see in theaters, not the old movies from 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
Because normally you promote the movies, not the venue. And this is the first ever national advertising program for a theatrical exhibitor. Like, this is something that's never been done before, because you don't see ads on TV for Regal or AMC or stuff like that, because it's like, we just go to the movies almost like to just go see the movie, not to go to the venue and hang out on the sticky floors of AMC. But I think that's where the money should have went. They should have went to let's update the theaters, let's get better seats, let's get better projection, let's get them cleaner, let them like make it more of an experience that you can only get there, instead of like, the projection's a little off. Oh, the guy over there is, coughing, making this loud noise. Oh, my foot's stuck. Oh, these popcorns, it's a little stale. It's like, give me something better than what I can get at home, because right now it's pretty good at home.
You could probably buy a new AMC for $25 million in some places, right? I mean,
probably. Yeah. I can't wait to see what like Regal's response to this, if they're going to do anything. I was joking with somebody online, and they said what they need to get is Reese Witherspoon like riding that roller coaster they have at like Regal. Like, they should just have that as her. Like, this is what we got over here, a roller coaster.
Yeah, but just in the total, they should do it, but in the total opposite direction. It should almost be like that photo booth one where you're like going in and it's like in and out. You know what I'm talking about? Just like the total opposite. We got photo booth cinematography. We got instead of mics, we got headphones with the microphone in it.
Instead
Just
of
totally
mics,
terrible.
we got Ikes.
Yeah.
Like an Ike sound. But yeah, let's see. Dark is in the chat. I think it's a mixture of things. We need clear guidance on vaxes and restrictions that go along with them. I think that for movie theaters could be safe, but people are scared. Theaters got to work for our buck. They've gouged consumers for years.
Yeah,
true.
exactly. And is Nicole Kidman sitting alone giving you that
Nicole
information?
Kidman's never been in an AMC before.
I know. I was thinking about that too.
Because I think she's more associated with TV in the last few years for me. I mean, Big Little Lies, The Undoing, Nine Perfect Strangers. She's more of a TV person, I feel like, than a movie star recently. I don't know. You know what they should have done? Instead of Nicole Kidman, they should have got this viral star, Steve Burns. Remember Steve Burns? Come on, Blue's Clues.
Oh, yeah.
Steve from Blue's Clues. He's back. He returned this week with a message for all the millennial kids who grew up watching him on the children's program Blue's Clues, which celebrated its 25th anniversary. Wow, I'm old. Oh my God, 25 years of Blue's Clues. And in this viral video, Steve addresses us directly and recalls how one day he decided to just up and leave on the show. He went to college. He apologizes for that, but says during that time, he never forgot about us and that he's super glad we're still friends. Talked about all the accomplishments since then and what we've gone through. Kyle, did this bring a tear to your eye?
I gotta be honest, I never watched Blue's Clues when I was little. So I didn't even watch this video. I just see all like the memes from it. And I know that people were losing their mind over it, and which is kind of just funny to me. Because we're adults at this point. But I mean, it is what it is. But I think the memes coming out of it are better than whatever this message was. Because Blue's Clues was it on Nickelodeon or Disney?
Jr.
Yeah, Nick Jr. So it was like the Nick channel, but it was on Nick Jr.
Yeah. So I was a Cartoon Network kid, so that's why I don't even think I had access to Nickelodeon. So I didn't really see a lot of the Nickelodeon program, unfortunately, because some of it's really good.
I was one of those things where we somehow mostly had like one channel, CBS, but then somehow we could get access to Nickelodeon through this very large dish. It's very complicated, but we got Nickelodeon, and that's like all I had. So if I want to watch anything, it was that. And so I was probably like 12, still stuck watching this when they would show this because this is all I had. I was still watching Blue's Clues because there's no other choice. It was that or 60 Minutes, on CBS. So like, okay. But yeah, to me, it was a little crazy, the news reporting on this. This was like, I mean, he appeared on Colbert to parody this, like in the reaction to it. Like within 24 hours, over 22 million views. And it's a nice little video, but he's also acting like he's been missing and dead for decades. Yeah. Like he's just, no, it's like you went to college, which I don't think he went to like college in real life. I think he just, he left the show. He went to make alt rock music. And then now he's a director writer on the Blue's Clues reboot show. But it was nice to see him. It was nice to get the nostalgia there. But man, people were losing their minds over this.
Yeah. It blew up Twitter for quite a while. I think John had the thing of the tweet is just like, I can't believe like how many people they're grown adults. I'm like, you're adults. You realize that this is a TV show, right? You can kind of see that night, right? We have like object permanence problems? What's going on?
One day he just up and left, and we trusted him, and he just left us.
I want if there's somebody out there that was in a therapy session that really, really, felt strongly about this, I need to know. I need to know because we need to have a conversation.
Well, one of the memes I liked was we're we're all so emotionally damaged from this last year and this last year and a half that Steve from Blue's Clues was like, I have to address the nation. And he gave us that comforting hug we all needed. And there was this other one I saw, I was like, oh yeah, look at all your accomplishments. And it's like cuts to like George Costanza in the chair with the chips on his chest from Seinfeld. I was like, oh, me? Like, and then the best one, John's showing it now on Twitch. It was the parody of like the snowman clues meme of like, I gave you all the clues. And it's like, Steve, you could have saved her. I gave you all the clues. And it of course shows Blue there. The internet, man, I love it.
Yeah, I sent Dave one, John, that said it was a meme from Mad Men, and it was like, I think it was like, I never it's like, Steve, I never stopped thinking about you. And then it was John Hamm from Mad Men, and it said, I don't even think about you, or like I don't even think about you.
Like, you know, I feel sorry for you, and then it's like Don Draper's like, I never even think about you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care about you. But yeah. So there you go. Steve Burns is back. Maybe, well, we'll see. Well, he might take off and leave for another 25 years.
Yeah, I know. This could cause more traumatic events for people. We're gonna have to go back in 20 years on Twitter and be like, Steve's gonna be like, I'm sorry guys, I have cancer now.
No, don't put that on him. Oh no. But we're talking about Nickelodeon, and this new CEO is from Nickelodeon. On Friday, there was a big shakeup for Paramount as Brian Robbins, who currently runs Nickelodeon, will take over as CEO and chairman of Paramount. The previous CEO took the reins just in 2017 and was a big driver in the push for Paramount films like A Quiet Place 2 to go to streaming after 45 days. Now, before you say, oh, maybe the company didn't like this move to streaming, they don't like this whole Paramount Plus thing, not so fast, because this is where the story I want to take it tonight is. It's believed that Robbins was actually more attuned to the demands of streaming age in Paramount Plus, and that's his priority for Viacom CBS. The thinking based on Robinson's past directorial films, which outside of Kyle's Varsity Blues aren't great, but they're thinking that Paramount will now scale back on its theatrical tentpole productions to focus on titles that will serve the streamer. What do you think about this news, Kyle? Paramount might be getting less involved with those big films and maybe make some Paramount Plus films instead.
I mean, it's I think HBO had this where they said we're going to create more content and scale back some of our other content. And I think what that announcement came to was HBO Max. Now, do we trust Paramount Plus to create adequate or good content? If I was a fortune teller, I would say it's probably going to end up more like Netflix, where it's quantity over quality. The other concerning part is Paramount's a big studio, right? Yeah. This sounds like a studio that is eventually going to go under or get bought by somebody else, because I don't know how sustainable the streaming service is. There's 1,000 streaming services, and they were on the back end of that, right? Yeah. So maybe they get more content. If it's good quality, I'm all about it. Sure. But I'm just hesitant to think that, this is going in the right direction. You hear something like that and you think it's heading down the road of Netflix, because Netflix has a lot of stuff and a lot of it's not really that good.
Yeah. So the issue is, like, we've been seeing it with Netflix. I think I saw some stat like Apple TV Plus is going to try to release like something new like every week in 2022. And it's probably what's going to be like with Paramount Plus. It's like they're going for quantity at this point. So it's like there's always new stuff. There's always something to check out. There's always something to try. And it's just like, yeah, but all of it's not really that good. Mm-hmm. And it's just filling up that space to make it think like you're getting your money's worth here. And I'm worried because, like, I think we even talked about it on the podcast when Viacom and CBS got back together with this merger. Mm-hmm. We even said, like, there was rumblings, there was talk that this would be practically a monopoly, and they would have to try to maybe trade off some networks. But like NBC Universal and Viacom CBS were in talks, I believe, to form because these are, unless you're Disney, which owns everything, and Apple and Amazon, which have money out the like.
Yeah. How can you compete? Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, we're gonna it's already like what, seven like studios or whatever that own everything, corporations that own all kind of the media landscape. It's scary how few entities there are that own a bulk of the media that's being created and made.
And that's why I'm like, Dark's bringing up in chat. Yeah, Viacom family, they share their stuff. BET, Showtime, several other. Definitely, it's huge. Don't get me wrong, it is huge. But like, 20th Century Fox was huge. That got bought out. It's like MGM was a big thing. That got bought out. Like, things are really consolidating now, and that's why I don't understand where something like Paramount Plus, like, combined with Showtime, get something going. Like, have it like be an HBO Max, the one-stop shop for everything under the sun.
Yeah,
that's my thing. Because Paramount, outside of, they got some stuff coming out. I'm looking forward to Top Gun 2, Mission Impossible 7. But then there's a lot of other stuff that's like, and that's a Paramount Plus film. Like, that's not anything. And with this new CEO, I'll bring up some of his past titles. These are the films he actually directed. So, this was his past career when he was a director. These were some of his hits: Shaggy Dog, Meet Dave, Norbit. These were like modestly budgeted remakes or comedies. Like, there weren't like Mission Impossible 7. Like, they weren't these big action theatrical movies. And the Hollywood Reporter's Boris Kitt believes this is a retreat from big theatrical productions to focus on remakes, branded content, and cheaper streaming fare. That's where it's going to be. It's be branded content. It's going to be whatever the Paramount product. Dora the Explorer is, I think, a Paramount product. Dora the Explorer movie, spin-off TV show, this and that. That's what it's going to be. It's just going to be whatever branded thing that they have out there. IP.
Sorry, John. Were you about to say something?
No, okay. I was just thinking, weren't they just selling all their stuff off like 6 months ago? Why are they now focusing on building up a catalog when they just got rid of all their stuff? It seems so backwards.
Comedy Central sell-off to HBO Max. We talked about all the shows that they were selling off. Key and Peele, I believe, Inside Amy Schumer, all their big stuff. I think South Park, they have some licensing deal there. They did do a huge new deal for new stuff with the South Park guys. But all the old stuff's at HBO Max. The other two, which we've talked about, was Comedy Central, sold off to HBO Max. It's like, guys, hang on to something. You need it.
I think I might have mentioned this before. The only reason I think that you would do something like that is to build up cash flow from the streaming rights, and then make an announcement like this, build up your catalog, and then retain the rights to those eventually over time, so that they live on your platform, right? That's the only thing I can think of.
You get the eyeballs there, you get some money, and then when they want to come back and watch that show later, now it's on your service and they have to pay you now.
But I was going to mention, I think the era of peak TV is past, and it's going to be a struggle to find those really, really good shows that stick out and are worth watching week in and week out, because a lot of this stuff that's out there now on a lot of these streaming services is just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
I was looking at some numbers here. The last quarterly earnings report, 42 million subscribers worldwide to all of the Viacom CBS services. So that, probably includes Showtime and stuff like that. But Paramount Plus is driving the most growth, and they're hoping for 65 to 75 million by 2024. That's their goal, about double almost. But Warner Media is doing everything it can to drive HBO Max numbers up, including releasing this next movie we're going to be talking about on the streamer and in theaters this December 22nd. It's time. for a coming attraction.
Here are some exciting coming attractions.
All right, The Matrix Resurrections. It's been 18 years after the last installment, and is Neo re-entering the Matrix? Well, I looked up on IMDb the plot summary, and the official summary on IMDb is the plot is currently unknown. So, we got the trailer to go off of. That's all we got to go off of. John, start me off. Are you a Matrix guy, or what do you think of this trailer?
Well, I've seen the first Matrix a long time ago. I might have seen the second, and I definitely didn't see the third. So I'm not going to say that I'm the Matrix ultimate fan here, but I did watch the trailer. Recently, Keanu Reeves starred in the game Cyberpunk 2077, and that's all I can see in this trailer. So already I'm being pulled into a different media source. But it looks interesting, I guess. I mean, there was a couple of scenes where he's just like gulping down pills. Like I didn't
pill.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. I thought it was like a one-time thing. I didn't realize you had to like re-up every 30 seconds or something. He was popping them real quick. And then there's a new Neo or an old Neo or like I don't know. I don't get it. And from what I hear, there's some plot points from a Matrix video game that might be canon and all this stuff that from being so far removed from not seeing a couple of pieces of media in this series, I don't know if I get it. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say no to going to see it, but I feel like I'd be lost without finding a summary of the first couple, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. I believe I'm not a huge Matrix fan. I've seen the Matrix films, but even then I'm confused as well, just even watching them. Like, what's going on? Yeah, it's like I think the blue pill is pretty much like he's taking it because if he has any like idea of the Matrix or he's thinking about the Matrix, this will stop him thinking about that and that world, and you know. So I think that will help him. So that I don't think you have to take it every day, but he's taking it every day to forget it, and he seems to be out of it. He seems to be at least forgetting it, and this is what I'm thinking. This is my guess of what this movie is. I feel like this is going to be like Star Wars. The Force Awakens, that like reboot, like pretty much it was A New Hope again. It was that movie just again. This is, I think, is going to be the first Matrix kind of again, because you can kind of see he doesn't really know about the Matrix. He's taking blue pills. He's sitting with a rubber duck on his head in the bathtub, and then he gets the red pill from a younger Morpheus, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, what is this world?" And I'll take you down that rabbit hole, and he kind of goes through it. So you might have to be relearning stuff. And I'm sure maybe that'll be like probably whatever, the first 20, 30 minutes of the movie. And then we'll get back to the action and forward plot. But I think it's going to be a reboot. It's going to be getting us back into that world and getting him back into the world. That's just my guess. But Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I like The Matrix. I really, really like the original movie. The other ones, you know, hit or miss, but I like the world that they created. And I think the villain that was in it was a really, really good villain. So I do like The Matrix. I like the world the Wachowski kind of created. And I'm interested to see where this goes. As far as the trailer, you know, I'm confused as you guys are. It's been forever since I've seen those movies. I have no idea what's going on, but I just remember that I like the world and I'm down with that. I like the use of the music they have in the trailer. I thought that was pretty cool. Will say I saw Neil Patrick Harris. That took me right out immediately. I think Neil Patrick, seeing him is going to take me right out.
It doesn't feel like you belong in that world.
Yeah, it's not that I, you know, am not a Neil Patrick Harris fan. I think he's great in other things, but just seeing him, it just took me out of it. Maybe it'll work when I see the actual film. And I love that. Is it Abdul Mateen? Is that how you?
Yeah, I think Abdul Mateen.
Abdul Mateen. I think it, you know, it's cool. I think he's a good actor, and I'm down with it. I'm interested to see. And you know, Keanu Reeves, his acting is so, but he's a good action star, so why not? I'm down.
It
I'm
looks
game.
fun. It looks big. It looks cinematic.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the film you go back to the theater for, Nicole Kidman. And you don't have to really. They didn't like have to update, I think, much of the graphics because it was kind of futuristic then with their kind of style and how they were doing things, and a lot of it works here. There's a hallway fight scene spinning around like Inception in the trailer. The music I also thought was a great choice with the White Rabbit. It worked really well in this as well. And then, yeah, you talk about Yahya Abdul-Mateen. The last 2 years, he has played some iconic characters.
Yeah.
What a ride. I looked up his last 2 years. Us, Black Mirror, Watchmen, Trial of the Chicago 7, Candyman, and now this. What? Wow. And playing some iconic characters. I can't say all of them because it would be spoilers for a couple of those things, but he confirmed it's Morpheus here. So I don't know if Lawrence Fishburne is involved, if we're going to get like some time travel, virtual reality. I don't know what's happening, but I also think it could be a little meta because the last line in the trailer, quote, after all these years to go back to where it all started, back to the Matrix. It was like, I don't know. Is that just like he's talking about literally going back into the Matrix, or is like into the Matrix movie? Like it's weird how it ends like that. And I think it was very like on the nose, but I don't know. I'm interested. I am,
I'm totally down with it. And you mentioned the cool big shots. There were several shots that looked just really, really cinematic and big and wide landscape city view. It looks really, really cool. I will say, if you talked about the old films being futuristic, and they do a good job with it, but the graphics are kind of dated.
I haven't seen them in forever.
If you go looking back and look at the original Matrix, like you see him like swirling around and you're like, yeah, I can tell this was created by a computer. Like it's very easy to tell. But
at the time, and I feel like what I'm saying is like at the time they were so like futuristic that like they could do those like styles now, just obviously with better computers, and it would fit right in because like they kind of obviously shaped action movies for many, many, many years. But,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That is it for movies. We have 2 television shows to talk about next. In order to talk about them, we have to go back. So, guys, send us back into the Matrix.
We're back, baby!
Gotta get back in time.
All right, here we go. Impeachment, American Crime Story, the series premiere, Exiles. It dropped on September 7th on FX Linear. After The People vs. OJ and the assassination of Gianni Versace, this 3rd season of the anthology series revolves around the Clinton and Lewinsky scandal and, of course, the resulting impeachment of President Bill Clinton. All right, first episode dropped last Tuesday. Another one is airing in a couple of hours after this podcast, but we're talking about the premiere tonight. What did you guys think of the premiere? Let's start off with Kyle.
All right, so I'm into it. I'm into the world. Washington D.C. can just kind of be annoying to kind of talk about or listen, but I'm into it. I like the historical aspect. I know the problem I have is like a little bit of this show is inside baseball, that a lot of these characters were popping up and I'm like, am I supposed to know who this Vincent dude is? Am I supposed to know? So this show revolves around kind of you having a little bit of backstory. And the most backstory I had was that Monica Lewinsky was getting down with Bill Clinton in some way, right? That's what I knew. So when all these other characters start popping up, like I didn't know that, Bill Clinton was accused by this, this Annalee Ashford character. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know that this guy killed himself over this. I was like Wikipediaing this thing while I was watching it. And I feel like, if I have to do that, maybe you're not doing the best at getting the story across, and maybe it'll come around along the way. But I had a hard time tracking how the characters kind of connect. But with that said, I think Beanie Feldstein is really good. I think Sarah Paulson, who you don't even recognize, is great as Linda Tripp, because I have to say I hate her. I hate her so much. She is the worst.
With good reason. Yeah.
She's the worst. And I know Monica Lewinsky is a producer on this, so maybe you say there's a little bit of bias or whatever, but still, if she's any way remotely like this, I hate this woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so overall, I think it's good. There's still some moments, and we could talk about that. I'm like, of course, okay, Ryan Murphy, yeah, okay. But overall, I'm in it. I'll probably keep watching it, but we can, discuss more in depth about some of the problems.
Yeah. You bring up the cast and all those actors in there. Yeah, and you got so many in this thing that at least some of them are gonna hit. You just by the odds. Sarah Paulson, unrecognizable as Linda Tripp. Caked in makeup, the glasses, the wig. There's so much going on. You don't even know it's her. I'm really liking Beanie Feldstein as Monica. I think she's doing a great job so far. And Margot Martindale, Edie Falco, Clive Owen. They round out the main cast, and then you got recurring roles from Colin Hanks, Colby Smulders, Billy Eichner, Judith Light. There's just so many people that some of them are going to connect. And for me, it was definitely Paulson. It was definitely Feldstein that was pulling me in. And then I also want to give a shout out to Annalee Ashford as Paula Jones. And I think it's because those three, I'm not too familiar with them. Obviously, I've seen pictures of Monica Lewinsky. Like, I know what she looks like, but I'm unfamiliar with them. So I think those portrayals work better. But then you have ones like Edie Falco as Hillary and Clive Owen as Bill. I mean, there's some where it's just like for instance, Edie Falco, when she came up as Hillary, I'm like, wait, is that supposed to be Hillary? Is that Hillary? Like, I don't know. Like, 'cause they're not doing anything to make her Hillary, I feel like. And with the amount of makeup they used for Linda Tripp, there was none left over for this. And then it's like Bill Clinton is going to be such a hard thing to do without it being a Daryl Hammond impression, from SNL. Like, it's so recognizable from everything we've seen, this year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And I almost make me think, like, should we almost ever have even seen Bill, really? Obviously, you have to do a little bit. Obviously, maybe in media, maybe you do it just on the TV as TV appearances, and you use archival footage, or you use this portrayal, whatever it is. But because I believe the original idea of the West Wing was you weren't really going to see the president. It was going to be all the behind the scenes, and maybe you get a little bit, a tiny bit here and there. Because it's just so recognizable. It just pulls me out. And it's because Cuba in season 1 never really tried to be OJ. He never really. And it's okay, it's OJ. Just believe it. And I feel but I got a few more before I got one more that really pulled me out of it. Before I get there, John, what do you think of these portrayals?
I agree. It's really hard to look at them and equate them to the character. I mean, they're people who, as recent as a couple years ago, Hillary has been in the news a lot and all that, and it's really tough to see even modern day her and look at who's portraying her, and just the facial features are so different, and I get that that's not easy to do. You can't really change someone's face that way, but boy, especially for her saying 2 words and being in the bathroom, which is all we saw of her, why did that have to exist? You know what I mean? Did that scene really give us anything besides that she didn't like that she saw the first lady in the you know what I mean? Why did it exist?
The sole purpose.
So I don't know.
She's a main character, and Edie has to get that paycheck. I don't know.
I don't know. It didn't help the show, I feel like.
No, I agree. And I bet we're going to get more. The interesting thing is going to be, though, there's definitely going to be scenes, at least what I've seen in the trailer, between Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, which we're definitely going to have to take with a grain of salt, because it's how do we know that any of those existed? I mean, at least with this, we got Monica as a EP, or at least a producer on it. So we got her side. I'm sure there's been books, and Linda Tripp, I'm assuming, wrote a book because that's the talk of the first episode. So we got her portray. So there's so many other documents that we have, like certain lines and stories from those characters, Paula Jones stuff. But like I feel like the Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, it's so private that those moments are going to have to be, made up because we don't know for sure how it went down. And I don't know. One of the characters I got before I forget to mention him, really pulled me out of it. I'll be interested with you guys. We talked about it when we talked about the trailer and coming attractions. Taron Killam. This really, to me, felt like a SNL parody at points when he was playing Steve Jones here, yelling about my wife over and over. It was just, it just doesn't. Maybe it's because of the SNL thing. When I see Kristen Wiig and stuff, it's like I can't take her seriously half the time without thinking it's a parody on SNL.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I wasn't totally thrown for a loop, but I can see what you're saying with that, because it is, it's jarring. Just like that. Yeah. But maybe I didn't notice it because I think Anna Lee Ashford,
I think she's doing great.
Is really, really good. And so maybe I just, gravitated towards her in those scenes rather than him, Yeah.
So those are a lot of the portrayals. I want to talk specifically about like the pilot, because I feel like this was a bit all over the place. There was a lot of setting up. We're jumping around in time and location. We start off with 1998. Monica is being, questioned by the FBI. Okay, now we're in 1993. We're seeing Vince Foster's suicide. And now we're going to 1994 in January to see Paula Jones. And then April 1996 to see Monica and Linda meet. And it's just like boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. It's like, and it's like, it just felt like we were just trying to hit every moment, everything that we could squeeze in, every famous moment, every famous line. And to me, at points, it started feeling forced. Like, this show is always on a line. It's always walking this tightrope of this like highbrow drama and then Lifetime parody.
Yeah.
Like it could switch over at any point to one of them. And just, I pulled up a random line. Maybe you guys, maybe I'm really nitpicking, but there was one where it's like, because I don't know much about the story, but it felt like it was supposed to be a big line, like a memorable quote. And there was a point when they're interviewing the attorneys for Paula Jones in Arkansas, and they're pretty much like, how did you find yourselves here in Arkansas? And there was like a pause. We took a plane, act out. And it was like, okay, that must have been like a quote from like the actual thing.
Yeah,
obviously.
It probably was, honestly.
And it's just like, oh my God. Like the way they built up to it, and the pause and the act out, like mic drop moment. It was just.
So I had that moment when it came to the suicide of the dude. And we see the camera go up, and I'm like, we're either going to see birds flying or blood spatter on the window. Those are the two things. And sure enough, gunshot, birds. And it's like, really? Like, could you get more cliche? It's just so ridiculous. So I think, it's, those are those. I call them Ryan Murphy moments because they're just everywhere in everything he does.
He did direct this, and from what I believe, this is a Ryan Murphy production. I hear he is less involved, like kind of day to day on this. I feel it's always like show run by different people. But he will direct. He will be an executive producer. He did direct this episode, so we are getting those Ryan Murphy-isms. And there's like moments where you could tell, like, you shoehorn this in just to kind of have a moment. Like the first season, there was a lot of Kardashians because it's like, well, we got to do this, with Robert Kardashian and the little Kardashians. We got to do this moment. And like, there was a moment where like they name dropped George Conway, and like, how did he get this like, material? Oh, George. It's like, I'm not sure we would get that now if it wasn't for obviously Kellyanne and all that stuff going on. It's because it's like, who's this guy? But it's like, oh, we can name drop this because it brings up like, it's just, I see. Okay. I see what you're doing, but
for sure.
Yeah. So obviously we got going to be a through line this season. Season 1 of OJ was definitely about, race in America. This season, definitely going to be, probably commenting on what we're going through now with Me Too. And like,
Mhm.
there's this moment where they're questioning Paula Jones, and man, it's disgusting. They're pretty much like, oh, you were asking for it, weren't you, going to the hotel room? I mean, it was almost like, I bet it really happened, but it almost feels like when I was watching it, like there's no way that this really happened.
Yeah.
But then I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know.
This scene, maybe it's because I'm thinking with 2021 brain rather than 1990s brain, but even still, like, journalists, the way that whole scene was acted, there was no way that it could have gone that way. Like, I don't think, at least I don't think journalists, integrity would openly guffaw, laugh, do all this stuff. Like, a journalist is just going to ask questions because they want information, right? They're trying to get information. This had like journalists throwing out opinions and saying like this or that to like discredit them in the moment, which I don't think at a presser they would do. Maybe in an op-ed, maybe when it's in the written work.
Yeah, who knows?
I can't see that happen in a physical
They
space.
moved it around versus like from an article from this to that. I was 3 years old at this moment, so I don't know any of this. Dark is in the chat saying, no, it did. They did them wrong. They called, Monica names that she deserved it on national television. So
Jesus, man,
I think a lot of this is real, and that just goes to show how much has changed and how much hasn't changed in over all these years.
That's wild.
But yeah, I'm gonna be really interested to see how they handle the Linda Tripp character. You kind of mentioned it because like she's the lead of the show in a way, but she's also the villain.
She's certainly.
But they're also got to kind of humanize her a little bit. They were showing her the backstory of how she became this person. But then you also have Monica as a producer, and there's a line in the cold open. I want this treacherous something to stay and watch. And it's like, oh, okay. Like we know how she feels there. So it's just like, it'll be interesting to see how this all works out.
That line to me, and maybe she did say it, that would be awesome if she did. I mean, if I could have said that to somebody that has done me wrong, that would be awesome. But in that line, just felt like revisionist history. Yeah. Like, here's what I wish I could have said to her. You know what I mean?
Possibly, yeah.
So, but it's cool. I mean, at least she would have that. I mean, Linda Tripp isn't around anymore to see it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm definitely into this show. I'm going to definitely watch more of this show. It's only one episode, so it's hard to judge. It feels a little like I'm not connecting it as much as I did the previous installments, but only one episode. There's a lot of time to change, and so we'll see. One episode in, we're going to be watching. Just make sure you DVR it, because this FX series, unlike What We Do in the Shadows, which also airs linear on FX, won't be on Hulu the next day. Meanwhile, our next show, which is on FX on Hulu, is only on Hulu and not on FX linear. You got all that?
So crazy.
This is just a nightmare.
Why?
You're trying to actively confuse people, huh?
Why would you make something that you want people to see and want people to pay for and then make it not accessible? That makes no sense.
It's some old contract that they did with Netflix. American Crime Story goes to Netflix after whatever, like a year or something. So in a year, you can watch this on Netflix. But like the idea that you have a service on Hulu called FX on Hulu, you assume FX programming is going to be on Hulu. And then when you have a show, like I said, What We Do in the Shadows, airs Thursday nights on TV, Friday on Hulu. Like I was expecting Wednesday to just, boop, let's watch this on Hulu. Nope. If you didn't DVR it, you're not going to see it. So,
yeah.
But
crazy.
That's crazy. It is crazy. Just like John said, if you want people to watch it, why are you going to make it so difficult?
Why can't they work with Netflix to get it on Netflix if that's where it's going to be? Why can't they work with Netflix to have it on Hulu temporarily and then have it go to Netflix? Like, why can we not figure out some solution? If your show doesn't do well because nobody can see it, nobody's gonna care if it's on Netflix in a year or 6 months. You know, it's why it just makes no sense.
Can we at least get it on Quibi, please?
Yeah,
You want it in 6-minute installments?
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about a show that's on FX on Hulu, which means it's just on Hulu, not on FX. And that's Why the Last Man, the series premiere the day before. September 13th, it dropped. And this is not the Will Forte Fox comedy about the last man on Earth. This is a drama based on the popular comic series of the same name about a post-apocalyptic world where every mammal with a Y chromosome is killed except for one man and his pet monkey. All right, here we're talking about Why the Last Man. Let's start off with John. What did you think of the series premiere?
Oh, well, I did see 2 episodes, so I'm gonna try and keep my ideas to the first one. I thought it was okay. This first episode is a lot of setup, I feel like. They have a lot of characters to introduce and to introduce their relationships to each other. There's a couple different ways that everyone seems to be related to each other through other people, so there was a lot to set up there. The episode kind of ends with the plot of everyone getting sick and starting to die and all that, and I don't know. I'm a little bit torn on it. I think right now my aim is to watch another one and see, but I'm not sure that it grabbed me enough to really pull me in. It feels like when I started The Walking Dead, where and there's a lot of parallels I feel like, but where like it sounds like a cool premise. I just don't quite feel that it's there to make me go, oh yeah, let me go get that, you know? So I don't know. I'm TBD, I think.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about the premise and if it's going to be able to hold up a little bit later on. I'd say for me, I was actually more into it than I thought I was going to be. I saw the first one. I wanted to watch more. I just didn't have the time to. Definitely feels cinematic. It feels there's a big scope and there's these vast apocalypse shots and there was a lot that seemed very well thought out, very well planned. I mean, there's a point where they like zoom out around the streets and it reveals a giant Y and the helicopter falls down and like we're in the cockpit as they're showing it. And there's the big moment at the end when everyone's losing blood and like the blood is pooling from his head and covering the map of the world. And I'm like, oh, like, so I could tell that they care and that things are well thought out. So I'm into it so far. I only saw the first one, and again, a lot of setup in it. There was a lot of world building, but I'm intrigued. I'm thinking about more. Kyle, what do you think?
I'm on the same kind of wavelength as you guys. Hard to follow the through line, but I know since they were world building, it's going to take a minute and we're going to have several episodes to figure out what's going on. I just wonder with the time difference, are we now going to be sticking in what's, this whole aftermath, or are we going to keep going flip-flopping back and forth? Because I feel like there were several characters that didn't get any kind of definitive ending that, we're going to need to see in some scope. And I just wonder if we're going to see them in the aftermath or in the past. So the whole time I was watching this, I was like, how are these characters interrelated? And sometimes they just dropped it. Like, it was just like a little bit like the guy is Diane Lane's son.
Yeah.
And it was just like a little one-off line. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And like we have like the Secret Service agent that is she working for some kind of terrorist group, an anti-terrorist group? What is her deal? So I mean, I'm interested in all these characters. It's just it was hard to,
it was definitely hard
track
to keep up, but I kind of liked that like they did that where it was just like, like you see all these different people and you kind of, as it went on, you see how they connect. The congresswoman that I guess is going to probably become president, if I had to guess, because in the line of succession, there's not many people above her anymore.
Mhm.
Is mom to York and I believe Hero, which is their brother and sister, which you kind of have to piece together here and
Mhm.
there. And yeah, you have Amber Tamblyn playing this like against type. I feel like of kind of, for lack of a better term, I'd say Meghan McCain in a way, the daughter of the
Mhm.
secret president that's now an author writing these very conservative books. So it's
Mhm.
like, okay, like how's that going to involve and how's she going to connect now that, well, the president is now gone because he died in this whole big event. And so it's like, it was interesting to see how all this was going to connect. And it was definitely obviously set up because, we don't see much of the after yet. We've only saw the before.
Mm.
But I will say it was kind of funny that like the Yorick, like, I don't know, 3 days in was already like, I feel like the apocalypse like just happened and already he's like, it's like,
He's like I Am Legend out
I
there.
Am Legend out
Yeah.
there with the gas mask. I feel
Yeah.
like if the apocalypse really happened, I'd be in my house or at least for the first week. Like I wouldn't even leave the house. Like at
Yeah.
least he's
Yeah.
out there exploring and there's, helicopters falling on him and, all
Mhm.
this stuff. But yeah, the pilot did have like that kind of trope, the recent trope we've been seeing. We saw it in Impeachment where it's like you start at the action and then we flash back and then
Mm.
the whole episode and then we get to the end. Like it's kind
Yeah.
of getting a little worn out recently, I feel like. But
Mhm.
with that being said, I still thought it was kind of foreboding. You saw the animals like dying
Mhm.
throughout and you're like, oh, that's weird. What's going on? Something's
Yeah.
coming. I feel like it could have been worse for a lot of characters. Just with the timing of it. Obviously, we get this the EMT. I think her name's Hero. Kills her boyfriend or
Oh my
the
God.
affair
Yeah.
that she's
That was
having with
probably
this guy.
that was the worst. Oh
And it's
man.
like, well, it's lucky that they all die anyways, because
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
not going to
right.
get blamed for this one.
Yeah.
And
But then
then
you got to live with that on your mind. That I mean, maybe it's better that he died
Yeah.
that way than
it went
gushing.
0 to 100 real quick with that fight. Like,
Yeah.
at least they were already in an ambulance, so
Yeah.
there were some supplies there. But,
Best place to die, I guess, right?
yeah. But no, you brought up the kind of like this secret agent, like this like bomb maker, like she's in the room with the president and Congress, and for me, I don't know if I missed something or they were kind of leaving it ambiguous on purpose. It's like, wait, whose side is she on? Like, is she in this
Mm.
room to take them down, or is she actually working for them? And the other thing was like a side mission. Like, so like the
Yeah.
whole time I was just worried, like, cause yeah, like what if she did something before this? Like she lucked out, like maybe she didn't have
Yeah.
to do her plan because everything else happened. Like,
Mhm.
so you kind of got this, like, can we even trust this character moving forward and her?
Mhm.
So there's a lot of setup here. I'm interested, but I will say, yeah, it's the premise I just worried about because these
It's like
mystery shows,
sustainable.
yeah, like
Yeah.
these mystery shows, they always start strong. They always have
Mhm.
like the big moment, the manifest, they're lost. And then it's like, okay, well, where are we going? Are you going to be able to hook the landing here? And, it's like, I'm worried that this could be too much lost if they focus so much on answers, why this happened, what's going on here. Or is it going to be more like The Leftovers? I feel like, two, what's his Damien? I'm forgetting his name here, the creator, but like, Lost and Leftovers. Lost really focused in on answers. Leftovers really didn't care what the departure was, but
Yeah.
mostly focused on characters.
Mhm.
Which one are we gonna get? At least
Mhm.
this one, Why the Last Man, is based on a series, a comic series. So there's material, before they go off script, which The Leftovers certainly did after the first season.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I'm hoping it's they have a plan going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my whole thing is like, how sustainable is this? Which is even though it is a comedy, which was kind of the problem with The Last Man on Earth, was like, you have this character that's alone with a monkey. I know we have the entire rest of the, gendered population there, but like, how is this gonna happen? Are we gonna see them rebuilding? Is it about the virus? Is it about living after it? It depends on which direction it goes in, whether
Yeah.
I feel like it's sustainable or not.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely interested.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna watch more. Definitely
Mhm.
interested. Yeah, hope
I
it all works
I want
out.
to bring up two things
Yeah.
from the show that I was just like, what are you doing?
Uh-oh.
Okay. It just like the first one, the idea of romance was cooking grilled cheese with tomato, and that's what he's gonna put, do
Don't
an
hate on.
engagement.
Don't hate the
for?
player, man. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
Didn't
that
work
worked out for
him.
him. Yeah.
Well, she's going to Australia to meet people, and you know what that means.
Meet people. Yeah. She's gonna meet Nicole Kidman out there with the
Yeah.
Australian accent. Yeah.
Mhm.
But did you see the note where it's like, Beth, I'm alive, come back, come back. And the second one, the woman that's with her child and is like getting ready at the
Yeah.
end, right? And then goes in and sees her
That's
husband
terrifying. Yeah.
is dead. She's cutting PB&J crust with a butcher knife.
Yeah,
Like
that,
it's
I
a
saw that
carrot.
knife too.
She's like
And she's-
hitting it like it's a carrot.
And she was really going. I'm like, dude, if that is what the knife you need to use for that, either A, get softer bread, or B, sharpen your knives, because that is like you're not using the right. I don't know. Yeah, I know it's that too, but that's her own fault for her drawing blood on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, so we'll see. It definitely has a strong opening. Will they be able to keep this going? And it just depends on what avenue the show wants to go down. But I'm gonna be watching. We'll see. All right, that is it for tonight. That's all we got to talk about. Next week, we got a couple things to talk about. We got the series finale of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We'll probably check in, see how it all ends. And then we have a new show. It's another FX show. I believe this one is on FX on Hulu. So I guess it's only on Hulu. I'm not sure, but we'll figure it out. The Premise, an anthology series from BJ Novak of The Office. And then we're also going to talk about the Emmys. We're going to recap everything that happens at the 73rd Emmy Awards. I thought it was the Oscars. I'm getting lost with the award bodies here, but talk about the Emmys. We did our Emmy prediction special last week, so be sure to listen to that. Get ready for the Sunday's award show here, and then we'll recap it next Tuesday on Twitch. That's how it's going to go down. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram at Dual Redundancy. And you can find episodes of the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, the blog, dualredundancy.com. And of course, as I said, Twitch, twitch.tv/dualredundancy. That's where we are Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, streaming live. I got to thank both of you guys for watching all these shows, joining me tonight. John, directing the live stream, getting the show up on our podcasting players. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Sure.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Dual Redundancy. Goodbye, everybody.